This wasn't a shank or a piece of wood or a razor blade. This was a firearm with ammunition, and everybody needs to realize how dangerous this situation was and how indefensible this death is.
There is no way there should have been a handgun, an inmate with a handgun. And they're saying all these things about my daughter. Do they even know? Y'all, nobody knows the real story because she's not here to tell it. Regardless of anything, she was a mother. She loved her kids. She was a daughter. She was a sister. Like, she has family. She had a heart. She wasn't a bad person. Who hasn't made bad decisions and stuff? That don't mean you deserve to die. Why didn't they protect her? Why? They need to put things in place and make sure the prisons are being ran correctly so that no other mother has to go through this, no other wife, no other sister has to go through this.
Aureon Grace, a 24-year-old mother of two, had just ended a relationship and was striving to improve the lives of herself and her children. She recently started working as a food service worker with Aramark at the Georgia Department of Corrections. In January, she met and befriended Jaydrakeus Hart, an inmate convicted of manslaughter in 2013. Unbeknownst to most, Grace entered into a secretive and illegal relationship with Hart. After a brief romance, she ended things with him. But Jay was not willing to let her go. In a chilling and tragic turn of events, he waited for her next shift and shot her in the head before taking his own life. This horrifying ordeal has left Grace's family devastated and questioning how a gun even got into the jail in the first place. Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads. Aureon was a vibrant and compassionate young woman. She was known for her fun-loving spirit, spending time with friends, getting her hair done, and showcasing her style on social media. However, her greatest joy came from her children. In 2019, she welcomed a beautiful little girl with her boyfriend, followed by a boy in 2022. Her mini-family was everything to her, and the responsibility of being a mother strengthened her resolve to build a stable career to support them. In early 2021, Ori completed her training and became a worker at the Georgia State Prison, aiming to provide a better life for her children. But as she advanced in her career, her personal life took a turn. She and the father of her children ended their relationship, leaving her open to new connections. In 2024, while working as a food service worker at Smith State Prison in Glenville, Georgia, she met Jay, a 34-year-old inmate serving a 20-year sentence for manslaughter.
Man, the bitch looked at me and said, "Bitch, you look like you him." What you told her? I am.
Despite knowing the risks and the rules, Grace was drawn into a forbidden relationship with Hart. He, having spent almost a decade behind bars, pursued her relentlessly. Hart kept himself occupied with social media and TikToks.
I get to moving my legs. Ooh, I get to stomping my feet. Yeah, I get to bobbing my head.
Hey, my grandbaby.
What's going on, Grandma?
Look, I need you to come over here and cut Grandmama grass. Baby. Lord, I can't never get this thing to work right. See?
His growing obsession with Ari led to a relationship that was doomed from the start. She knew it was illegal, she knew it was dangerous, but she broke the rules, tarnishing her reputation and breaking her oath as an officer. Realizing the gravity of her actions, Grace decided to end the relationship before it could cause more harm. However, Hart was not willing to let her go. What she didn't know was how far he would go to keep her, and that he had managed to obtain a gun. Smith State Prison in Glenville, Georgia, had become a crime-ridden, lawless environment. In October 2023, correctional officer Robert Clark was killed by a prisoner with a homemade weapon. Just 2 months prior, 4 people were arrested for using a drone to smuggle handguns into the prison. Despite ongoing investigations into contraband weapons, the system failed to uncover Hart's concealed firearm. After Ari ended the relationship, Hart devised a sinister plan. On June 15, while she was working, he carried out his attack. Hart shot Grace in the head before turning the gun on himself. The shocking murder-suicide left both families shattered and prison officials reeling, questioning how such a tragedy could have occurred. Ari's family is now grappling with their immense loss, and the entire community is left to wonder how the system failed to protect an innocent mother of two. This tragic event serves as a grim reminder of the dangers lurking within prison walls and the dire consequences of overlooked security breaches.
24-year-old Aureon Grace died at Smith State Prison in southeast Georgia over the weekend.
Now her family is sharing their heartbreak and their anger with News Edge reporter Rob D'Arienzo here live in studio.
That's right, guys. Good evening. Well, this family is hurt. They're shocked, but they're also furious with the Georgia Department of Corrections. The mom of 24-year-old Aureon Grace says she was just trying to earn a living, and the prison failed to keep her safe.
I'm really in disbelief of the fact that it was even a firearm in the facility.
24-year-old Aureon Grace's family started getting messages on Facebook early Sunday morning that something was terribly wrong at her job at Smith State Prison.
Inmates were going through social media, looking on her social media to find people related to her.
And that's how Deshonda Higgins found out about her daughter's murder. The prison says inmate Jaydrakeus Hart shot Grace, then himself. She was working for the food company Aramark in the kitchen there. Prison officials said Monday they believe Grace and Hart had a personal relationship, but her mom sees that as a deflection.
What does that have to do with an inmate having a gun to kill my child?
And Higgins wants the Department of Corrections to focus on that, how the gun got into a maximum security prison where some of the most violent state convicts stay. She says investigators have ripped apart her daughter's apartment while executing a search warrant, leaving behind this mess.
And bust the bags open all over my grandchildren's stuff. They broke her bed.
It's not clear what, if anything, they found. A spokesperson for the Department of Corrections says that inmate with a contraband phone got in touch with her family before prison staff got a chance.
They totally went in damage control instead of trying to figure out how they can correct the system.
Grace leaves behind a 1-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. The 24-year-old was saving money to go to nursing school.
No one deserves to die. And especially at work where she was working hard to take care of her kids.
And the Georgia Department of Corrections spokesperson says 6 Aramark employees have been told not to come back to their jobs at the prison based on this investigation, but they did not explain why.
That, to me, is shocking to the conscious, and I hope that this is a wake-up call for the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Joshua Schiffer has practiced criminal law in Georgia for 2 decades. He says this incident demonstrates a complete failure by the Department of Corrections leaders.
This institution, Smith, is a notorious institution because it's a high-security institution dealing with some of Georgia's most dangerous and threatening inmates.
Back in October, investigators say an inmate there shanked 42-year-old guard Robert Clark to death from behind. Earlier last year, the GBI charged the prison's warden in a sprawling contraband conspiracy. Hart was serving time for voluntary manslaughter and aggravated battery from a 2015 case out of Carroll County. His earliest release date would have been 2043.
This wasn't a shank or a piece of wood or a razor blade. This was a firearm with ammunition, and everybody needs to realize how dangerous this situation was and how indefensible this death is.
The entire state correctional system has been under a years-long federal investigation into allegations of civil rights abuses. The state legislature just formed a committee to review it from top to bottom.
This example is an unfortunate reflection of what's happening in Georgia prisons as a whole.
Firearm in the prison system is beyond me that I can comprehend.
How a firearm got into the hands of inmate Jaydrakeus Hart is the question on the minds of Aureon Grace's family. Their attorney, Malone Hart, sharing their devastation after the death of the young mother of 2.
There's no way that she could have brought it in based off the security she has to go through. It's the security elsewhere that's lacking, and we believe this firearm was actually brought in prior to her ever working there.
The family claiming they have not been treated with respect by the Department of Corrections.
No way that a family should lose a mama or a child, a daughter, because she's in a bad relationship. The focus should be on the system acknowledging that they should do some stuff, take some precautions to stop stuff from this from happening.
Grace began working in the prison kitchen in January. Inmate Hart was serving 20 years for voluntary manslaughter out of Carroll County with a maximum release date of June 2043. A current employee blames Warden Jacob Beasley and Commissioner Tyrone Oliver for not cracking down on contraband. News 3 kept this employee's identity anonymous since she claims to have received several death threats.
The inmates are running the prison. We're just allowed to be there. And we're allowed to go home every day by the grace of the inmate.
She has worked in the prison system for almost 15 years, most recently in the mailroom. She says Grace should have never been put in a deadly situation.
There should be an officer running that kitchen and supervising what's going on, and there should be no guns in the institution. It should be an impossibility.
At this time, no further update has been provided regarding how the gun got into the prison. Hart's actions were cruel, heartless, and utterly shocking considering he had a gun in prison. While Aureon was not responsible for her own murder, she does bear some blame for engaging in any kind of relationship outside of professional with Jay. He was a violent offender in a maximum security prison. The thought of even dating him while he was in jail should have never entered her mind. Aureon was a beautiful, young mother of 2 who has now lost her life due to domestic violence behind bars. This tragedy is jaw-dropping and bewildering given the nature and twists of events. As we reflect on Grace's life, we should remember her as a young mother striving to provide for her kids while going back to school to become a nurse. Please keep her family and friends in your thoughts and prayers. May Aureon Grace rest in peace.